Hello. In this video you will learn how to start up your own business and grow it up. The title of the video is Growing a Startup. What am I gaining? Enhance both your leadership abilities and your business. You have successfully launched your own business. Not having a boss is one of the best advantages of being the CEO of your firm. However, this also requires you to learn how to be a leader. The more you scale your startup, the greater the demand for new skills to stay up with the expansion. The good news is that you can develop these skills and grow with your organization. This video examines the tried and true strategies for enhancing leadership at all stages of the startup experience. And they teach you what you need to do to keep yourself, your staff, and even your CEO founder happy and motivated along the road. This video explains why keeping track of past triumphs helps you grow in the future, how simple rituals can help you become a more decisive leader, and why CEO-founder partnerships are similar to marriages that require a prenuptial agreement. Become more self-aware to communicate and lead more effectively. It's an all-hands meeting at your company, and you're in charge. If you are the leader, you should be sitting at the conference table, not on top of it. It would be best if you also had a megaphone in your hands. This may appear to be a gimmick for a meeting of the team. However, the reality is that your employees hear and feel everything you say and do. Your voice is amplified as CEO, whether or not you want it to be. Everyone pays attention to your every move while you're in charge. Always, while brainstorming, they hear firm orders from your mouth. As a result, mastering your communication skills is crucial. The most important takeaway from this video is to improve your communication and leadership skills by increasing your level of self-awareness. As the founder and CEO of your startup, you need to model the company culture you hope to create. You must be able to self-regulate before you can lead others. It's essential to be able to motivate your team and hold them accountable without losing your cool. Awareness of any blind spots in your behavior will help you improve. You might not be aware of your own personal blind spots, the name gives it away, but you can rest assured that your coworkers will. As an example, consider Charlie, a fintech CEO that the author has mentored. His CTO, Jack, had refused a new engineering process idea. As Charlie saw it, Jack was standing in the way of their plans moving forward. However, the author noticed that Charlie's demeanor changed when Jack worried about Charlie's suggestion. Jack's desire to drop the matter was understandable. On the other hand, Charlie had no idea he was being aggressive in the first place. His self-image was that of an emotional public speaker, and because he wasn't aware of how he seemed, he couldn't persuade Jack to his benefit. Blind spots can get in the way for any of us at some point in our lives. Everyone does, and that's fine. By being more self-aware, you can get better at spotting them. Self-reflection is the first step in developing this capacity. What are some of the ways you put yourself out there? Do you ask questions, listen attentively, and work together to solve a problem? Or do you tell others what to do and then shift the blame? Get to know your own communication style and triggers. As we'll see in the following paragraph, it's time to focus inwards after you comprehend your own conduct. Think about your past triumphs to help you overcome self-doubt. Jake, a fellow entrepreneur, was having difficulty convincing investors to spend more money on his company. Growth in revenue and cost structure frightened the investors. Some of the risks have to be taken on by a new backer. Jake was thrown into a tizzy by the uncertainty. What if he wasn't able to raise the money anywhere else? What if this was the beginning of the end for the business? He grew convinced that people would infer that he was a lousy leader if they learned that he couldn't raise more money from his investors. When working with Jake, the author advised him that his abilities to raise money were probably okay. His frame of mind required some work. To combat self-doubt, look back on your previous triumphs. Rejection after rejection can lead to sentiments of self-doubt and self-talk that isn't helpful. Founders are prone to running a negative script in their brains, especially when under a lot of pressure. However, research indicates that it hurts performance. During a condition of self-doubt, you tend to focus on all of your flaws while completely discounting your accomplishments. This results in a distorted view of your abilities. To overcome the negative impacts of self-doubt, forget about your inner critic and focus on obtaining data instead. Take a moment to jot down all of the things you've accomplished in the past. You want to put together a montage of your accomplishments. If you need a burst of self-assurance, you may call on it. Jake is back, isn't he? When the author told him to make his own highlight reel, he was able to calm his nerves by recalling moments when he had been successful in getting investment. With less anxiety, he could withstand rejection and keep exploring for answers until he eventually secured his funding round. Negative self-talk isn't something you have to put up with. During a storm, pay attention to your fears and niggles and then confront them. There's no need to wait for a calamity to hit before taking action. You'll notice an increase in self-confidence if you read a few of your favorite stories from your highlight reel every day. A repetition is a powerful tool, as you'll soon discover. Set up a regimen for your workplace to keep you motivated. Rafael Nadal plays tennis. Have you ever seen him? The order in which he consumes his energy gel, water, and recovery drink before a game is well known. This is a rite that he performs to re-establish his equilibrium. Like in baseball, the batsman steps out to swing the bat and may look up at the sky before he is ready to return to his batting stance and make a hit. These rituals are prevalent in sports. It's a good idea to think about leadership as a daily sport in which you must put in your best effort. You can also use simple rituals to get yourself in gear. Set up routines around your workday to keep yourself motivated. Set an alarm clock that isn't on your phone to get your day off to the greatest possible start. When you first wake up in the morning, take 5 deep breaths and then write down 5 things you're grateful for on a piece of paper you keep handy. Until then, you should stay in bed and prepare for the day. Before you start working, make a list of 3 tasks you want to do that day when you arrive at your desk. Whether it's about a job or personal matters, this is a good time to vent. Last but not least, jot down something you'd like to let go of. Perhaps you'd like to eliminate the self-doubt that we talked about previously. It's possible that you'd like to let go of specific concerns. It wasn't long before the author's client Joyce became overwhelmed and depleted as the founder and mother of 2 of an app for consumers and a businesswoman. After a month of implementing this pattern, she observed she was better able to deal with setbacks and was able to recognize things for which she was glad more easily. Getting your day off to a good start indicates that it matters. However, there are other things you may do during the day to give yourself a boost of energy or inspiration. Maybe try some jumping jacks when you start to feel that mid-afternoon slump coming on. Maybe try some jumping jacks. Create a third ritual to help you relax at the end of the day. Writing down your thoughts in a journal may be a fantastic way to wind down at the end of the day and prepare for a new day ahead. Because of your proactive efforts to incorporate positive habits into your daily routine, your startup journey will become much more exciting and rewarding. Know what talents you need to grow your startup, but don't forget to hire people based on values. Though she was not a doctor, Jocelyn founded a healthcare startup. To bridge the gap in her expertise, she hired as many doctors as possible. During her coaching meetings with the author, Jocelyn voiced her frustration. The doctors were experts, but they weren't participating, they weren't meeting deadlines, and their teams were confused. Although Jocelyn had selected the doctors based on their medical knowledge, she hadn't considered the impact of leadership and work styles. To avoid making the same mistakes as Jocelyn, make sure you know what abilities to look for. It might not always be evident. Make sure you know what skills you need to grow your startup and look for people who have the correct values to join your team. Identify the specific tasks that need to be completed before you begin searching for a new employee. It is essential to design the role based on your actual needs rather than the most popular startup job titles on LinkedIn. Perhaps you won't even require the services of an employee after all. If you don't need an assistant, consider investing in time management software instead. Make a list of the skills and values you're looking for in a new employee before deciding if you need to expand your workforce. It's essential to hire people who fit in with your company's culture. Consider asking candidates about how they've dealt with a difficult situation in the past when you're looking for hard-working employees. There are 2 ways to solve this problem: working alone or with a small group of people. It would be best if you also tried to imagine how your new hire will fit in vivid detail before deciding to hire them. Try to picture the person 6 months from now and envision 3 specific accomplishments. Imagine what the process will look like and how they'll accomplish it. If you're looking for someone who can effectively manage subordinates, picture your ideal candidate as presenting their work in a meeting setting. You should think about how you can help them in light of their strengths and weaknesses. After all, once the interviews are over, the person you hire is yours to manage. By praising others, you can encourage others to follow you. When it came to skincare, Lindsay was on a roll. Wilson, a packaging designer, was visibly upset one day when the author stopped by the office. Wilson explained that he was concerned that Lindsay didn't like one of his new designs. When asked what was wrong, there was a rumor that she had been critical of it, though she hadn't explicitly stated it. After that, the author assured him the rumor was false. Wilson had recently been referred to as a creative genius by Lindsay. Wilson broke down in tears and thanked the author profusely. Much to the author's surprise, Wilson was in tears. So what was the magic ingredient? The feedback has been received favorably. When you don't give your workers positive feedback, it can hurt their morale and productivity. As CEO, It's also a part of your job to express gratitude. The main point here is that you can get people to follow you by praising them. According to Google's research, psychological safety is the most critical factor in a successful team. When people are not bullied, harassed, or humiliated, they are more likely to perform at their best. As CEO, it's your responsibility to make sure that happens. It's essential to make sure that everyone in your company is included in shared milestones and recognized for their individual successes. In our previous discussion, we talked about the importance of positive self-talk. As you need to boost your own self-esteem, you also need to give positive feedback to others if you want them to keep going. It's okay if giving praise isn't something that comes naturally to you. You can learn to do it. For executives and key employees, create an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of when you give them a compliment. At least twice a week, try to say something nice to each person you meet. Also, it's in your best interest to tell your employees when they're doing something incorrectly. Focus on how you communicate in this situation, instead of attacking. Consider the bigger picture and stick to the facts rather than getting carried away with the situation. As an example, okay, we fell short of our sales goal. It's a reality. You can also suggest an approach that involves everyone working together, such as, let's try some new things and see what works. It all begins with you. When it comes to managing a large workforce, however, the more help you'll need, as we'll see. Managers and HR support are needed more frequently as the number of employees grows. An early-stage startup can be like a roller coaster ride. There are no rules, and everything is open to interpretation. Assuming the company's first round of funding is successful, you can be confident of a second. Eventually, you'll have a staff of 50 if you just keep going and going. You've suddenly got a lot of people to take care of. However much you may have enjoyed winging it in the beginning, it is time to establish structures to help you grow. Management and HR support will become increasingly important as your workforce grows. It's inevitable that you and your employees will need a system in place to ensure that everyone is contributing to the company's success. Like it or not, there is a hierarchy in structure. It's perfectly acceptable to take a different path. Many new businesses include, there are teams, tribes, and guilds for Spotify's staff and pods for the sales team at HubSpot. There must be a system of roles and responsibilities in place no matter how you choose to organize your teams. Managers play a variety of roles in the organizations they oversee. On the other hand, they are the people you rely on to keep you informed and in the loop. But it's up to you as CEO to provide the framework for your managers to help your employees grow. You could, for example, use the GROW model, an approach to coaching based on questions developed in the 1980s. You begin by setting a goal. For instance, what do you hope to accomplish with your team? Check the present situation. What's going on right now? Consider your options. What can you do to make things better? Finally, think about how you'll get there. What's your strategy? You lay out the groundwork, and it's up to your managers to carry out your instructions. However, if you have a large number of managers, you may not be able to train them all one-on-one. Onboarding, training, and monitoring employee performance necessitate the help of a head of people or HR department. As a result, you will be able to attract and retain the best people in the industry by having a system in place. Together, we can build a solid management system that will serve you well as your company expands. Build metrics to track your startup's progress and help you plan for the future. Predicting how much money you will make or how many customers you will acquire is difficult when you first start your business. A quarter's worth of sales is considered a success in the early stages. In fact, what if you had been able to sell even more of your product? When it comes to this, metrics come in handy. Metrics have a straightforward concept. They track your progress and point you in the direction of achieving maximum effectiveness. Metrics, on the other hand, are more than just a collection of numerical values. The most important takeaway from this article is that you should develop metrics to track your startup's progress. While systems and metrics can be tedious and unyielding, they are essential for the smooth operation of a growing company. They make sure that your startup runs smoothly and predictably, and they also help it grow. The most fundamental metric to keep an eye on is your budget. The money you receive from a $250,000 seed round can seem limitless. After that, however, you'll need to invest in things like office space, staff, and supplies. In no time at all, you've gotten through half of the bottle. Preparing a budget helps you avoid financial difficulties. Additionally, you should keep an eye on your projects and milestones on a regular basis in order to see where you and everyone else are. Creating a dashboard, which is simply a spreadsheet set up to track the status of your most important projects, can be helpful for this. Make a single column for all of your endeavors. Create a series of checkpoints along the relevant row for each item. Your progress will be measured by these milestones, which you will color code as green, yellow, or red. The color green indicates that all is well. There is a plan in place to get the project back on track despite the fact that it is currently yellow. The color red denotes a situation in which nothing has been done to correct it. As a group, check the dashboard at least twice per week. Everyone will be able to see where the most important projects are in real time. Having a clear vision of where you want to go is a powerful motivator. Your company's most important metrics will change over time, but you should never stop tracking them. And if systems and processes aren't really your thing, you can always hire someone who is. Create a prenuptial agreement with your co-founder if you're having problems getting along. During college, Josie and Raj discovered a common interest in starting an online marketplace. They decided to start a business even though they didn't know each other very well. At this point, they had raised $10 million and had moved into an office and employed 18 people. Only one issue kept things from being perfect. There was a disagreement between Josie and the other founding member of the company. She expressed her growing dissatisfaction with Raj's schedule. He would arrive before lunch and leave after lunch while she worked from dawn to dusk every day. Is there something wrong with him? Why did she expect him to have the same work ethic as she did? Everyone has a unique way of doing things. As a result, you should always double-check your expectations before entering into a business partnership. Prenuptial agreements are an effective means of resolving differences with your co-founder. Like marriage, a co-founder relationship is similar to one between a husband and wife. During the honeymoon period, everyone is on the same page and excited about the prospect of a new relationship. It's true that the honeymoon stage does not last indefinitely. Unresolved conflict and tension are often the cause of relationship breakdowns rather than an all-out conflict. In the event that you have a co-founder, be sure to come to an agreement on how to deal with disagreements before they arise. Co-founder prenups are a list of questions that should be asked of each other prior to starting a company. Ask one another, why are you starting this business? In what ways do you live your life? What makes your co-founder a good business partner? The culture you aspire to is best described in 3 words. How will you come to a decision if you and your partner disagree? Finally, what does it mean to be successful? Individually answer each question before putting them all together. Regardless of how long you've been working together or how new your partnership is, you can benefit from this exercise. In fact, it's a good idea to review them at least once or twice a year to make sure you're still on the right track. Also, don't be afraid to use them in tense situations. When it comes to conflict avoidance, it's understandable that people want to avoid it. Establishing an open line of communication with your co-founder is critical to the long-term success of your business. As a final word, in order to effectively lead a startup, you must first have a firm grasp on your own conduct and communication style. When it comes to leading others, it's important to strike the right balance between motivating and holding them accountable. Structure and systems should be put in place as your company grows. Your business will have everything in place to help you grow if you plan ahead. Advice that can be put into action. Personal operating manuals for new employees are a good idea. Set expectations with your team from the beginning of their employment. As a CEO, you can do this by creating a personal operating manual for each of your employees. How do you work? Your personal operating manual tells you, ideally, how do you want to be reached? It's possible that the caller will give you some advance notice. How much time do you spend thinking about a decision? Is this the case for you as well? Encourage your coworkers in the startup to create their own manuals as well. Everybody is on the same page right away. See you in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.